C major. Just a little warning, you guys are in for quite a stretch today. Welcome to guitar yoga. But seriously, the C major is a little bit of a stretch because we're going to be working with the first 3 frets and we're going to have a finger on each of those said frets. Starting with our first finger, we're going to place it on the first fret, 2nd string, followed by our second finger, 2nd fret, 4th string, and then we're going to finish off with our 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 5th string. To play the C major, we're going to go ahead and strum down from the 5th string, which is the A string, because the string is no longer open because we're pressing down on the string with this finger right here. It makes it a C note. That is the root note of our chord. So we're going to strum down from the 5th string, and all together it should sound like this. Now I'm sure quite a few of you out there are not having them ring out perfectly like I just played it, so it might sound like this. This was actually my very first struggle chord on guitar as a beginner. Even though I kind of have semi-freakishly long fingers, it was still a struggle, it was still a stretch. Don't believe anybody that tells you if you have shorter fingers that you can't play guitar, because that's not true. You have to learn how to adapt yourself to the guitar. Besides that, what made this chord such a struggle for me at first was because of my sheer laziness of not trimming my nails. If you're someone that has been blessed with fingernails that grow, it can also be a curse if you are a guitar player, and you just have to trim them every single week. And I just did not want to accept that fact at first as a beginner, and I'm sure it annoyed the hell out of my guitar teacher. He always told me the reason you're not playing your C major clearly is because you're not trimming your nails, and I would literally be like filing them down as my mom was like driving me to the lesson. Don't do that. Just trim your nails, please. Trim them. Just do it. Another thing to make sure is having proper form. So when you're building the C major, make sure that each finger stays in its own fret, in its own room, in its own lane. What I have seen a lot of my students do is when they're either playing this chord solo or they're transitioning to or from the C major, their fingers tend to kind of want to bleed into the other frets. So that can cause some problems. But also making sure that you're not muting any of the other strings with the pads of your fingers. So you kind of want them to be a little lifted. You don't want them to be resting down because that's going to mute the other strings. So just make sure you're not touching any other strings that you shouldn't be. So looking at the chord chart, just note where your fingers are supposed to be. One here, one here, one here. No other fingers touching anywhere else. So if you practice good form and good habits, you should see good results. So that is how you build C major. Our next chord up is going to be D major, so make sure to stay tuned.